Lewiston Police Department's been dealing with a large, diverse immigrant community for about 17, 18 years. Initially, the Somali population moved into Lewiston. Due to the housing stock that we had a lot of homes, a lot of apartments, and they have rather large families that they could take advantage of our housing.
Some of the challenges the Lewiston Police Department has faced due to the influx of immigrant and refugees is just simply we lacked the knowledge initially when they arrived. And since for the last 18 years, this department has been working with community members, identifying leaders, also working on our cultural competency to understand the ways, traditions, things that is unique to their culture.
We do a lot of outreach. When they first come to the city, part of my community resource team will conduct classes and just kind of explain to the folks how the police department works.
Many of the new immigrant community are coming from war-torn country, so they don't have a lot of trust with the police department of their country. They came from a very corrupted country. So when they come to this country, they have to work with the police in order for them to build that trust and work in healthier working relationships.
Obviously, in this day and age, radicalization and terrorist acts are things that are on our radar all the time, and that's why we engage young people. That's why we engage the youth. That's why we have the police come into our churches, our mosques, our community events, so that the police are actually talking to young people. We're now holding focus groups with young people, and then we bring the two together.
I think youth are targeted by extremist groups because they're trying to identify and find themselves, find a place to be in. And oftentimes, especially if they're immigrant refugee children, they tend to be poor, lack a lot of things that a lot of other kids have, and they're very easily exploitable by those who want to take advantage of them. Terrorist groups are really no different than your sidewalk drug dealer who is looking to find somebody to exploit to sell their product.
So I think when we're talking about radicalization and violent extremism, I think that community policing is sort of one piece of a larger toolbox. I think that the ability to create trusting relationships with folks within the community really helps the police do their jobs in terms of identifying where that radicalization and violent extremism might exist, but also sort of helping to head it off at the pass by sort of creating relationships with youth within those communities and sort of giving them a positive role model and showing them sort of what it's like to be American law enforcement, and that there is a difference between that and what it may have been in their home countries.
Community policing is important in addressing the potential of radicalization and extremism by making sure that we have open lines of communication.
If there's no trust, then there's no community. We need that trust to build between the police and the community to work together and have healthy relationships and have collective effort. But together we become a better citizens and we have each other's backs and support each other. Because the police need to know that we support them and we have to know that they support us too. And when we have each other's support, then our community is better for that.
So some of the things that we realize as a police department in creating trust and understanding, and so we can better address the needs of our immigrant community, we sit at every single table we can.
It's important to have those interactions so when something serious happens or there's some event that occurs in your community, you're able to know who to reach out to. That I can pick up the phone and call someone up and say, hey, this is going on, let's get together and let's find a way to address those issues.
So I can think of multiple situations where our involvement and work with Lewiston Police Department has mitigated or eliminated a violent situation from otherwise happening. I am involved with one or more police officers in various community events on almost a weekly basis.
By having open lines of communication, community members are more apt to talk to you when they see something that's out of place, suspicious. And in what we've seen here locally, although we haven't seen cases of extremism, we've seen the community come to us when they're starting to see people who need help, who don't seem to be fitting in. So we've done the Citizens Police Academy here, and what's really been successful about that is we've had a really mixed attendance. We've had people from our immigrant refugee population, our new Mainer population, to our native Mainer population attend. Movie nights have been a really huge success. Typically, outreach that police departments do is usually community forum based, where you have an officer or somebody like that standing in front of the room and a community member standing in the back of the room. It's very much so a lecture. We really like about the outdoor movie project that we do called Lewiston Summer Fun and Films is that it provides indirect icebreakers. And that's really what's key to it. If you like the police, you can go. If you're indifferent about the police, you'll still go. If you don't like the police, well, you may still also go because it's a fun event and you have kids that want to get outside, see a movie, get their face painted, and do a whole number of things. But what's really important is that while you're going, you know that we helped organize it and we're there. And if you just want to walk by us, you can. If you want to stop and say hi, you can. And if you want to have a further conversation about some of the issues in your community, we'll have that conversation. In order to be effective at addressing the needs of your community, we can't operate in silos. The police department is not the only agency with all the answers. We have to work with our social services, we have to work with our school system, we have to work with our mental health providers, and the list goes on and on. The reality is this, the problems that our community faces, or any community faces, are very complex, and simple solutions, simple answers are not real solutions. Here, we're very much so committed to the long-term solutions, answers to addressing the needs of our community, not just for tomorrow, but for 10 years from now and on.